guys, good evening. Up here in Sweden, where I am, it's sunshine and fantastic summer weather. And my name is Sophie Jugard. And first of all, tonight we introduce our guests to this Fjällräven Classic Germany webinar or TV show. And I will start by asking Henrik to introduce himself. Who are you, Henrik?
Yeah, good evening. My name is Andersson, and I am the Global Creative Director, working with the product teams at Fjällräven in creating new concepts and products for the outdoors. And I've been with the company for 14 years.
Yes, you've been at the company a long time. You know quite a lot of the secrets at Fjällräven, I must say. Okay, and then we also have a local German guest here tonight. That's Alfred. Tell me, who are you, Alfred?
Hi, my name is Alfred. I'm the local organizer in the Fjällräven German Classic in our area in the Allgäu. My job is to prove all volunteers and make the tracks clear and be ready for you and help you whatever you need.
Yes, and so far you have done a great job, actually. I've done the whole trek, so I know it. And finally, my name is Sofie Djurgård Lövgren, and I am the project manager for Fjällräven Classic Sweden since 16 years back. And I also work with events all over the globe, all countries. I've done the Fjällräven Classics everywhere that we have performed it. And I will be able to answer your questions regarding the events everywhere, I hope. Henrik knows very much about the hardware especially, but also about the rest of Fjällräven's products and some hiking advice. And Alfred will be our specialist in the local knowledge and the course, of course. So when you entered this event tonight, you had a QR code to Slido. And Slido is our tool for questions. So if you have any questions to us, just write them in Slido and they will pop up in my window. And if you wonder why I'm sitting here looking not at you, I have two screens, one with questions and one with the film that we will see tonight. And I've already seen that we have some greetings here, so it seems to work well. So we'll start off with our film of Fjällräven Classic Germany, which actually our technician today, Marco, made last year. So Alfred, now Marco, we're starting at the wrong spot actually. We're starting at the last day now. This is the one we should see.
Saturday.
Saturday. Yes, Saturday. Sorry. Yeah, that's right. Ah, good. They hear me. They have some kind of technical issue there at Attic Film, but they will soon solve that. But during that time, Henrik, can you tell me a little bit about what you would say is the most important to think of regarding the equipment when you would do a 3-day hike? Now we have the correct film starting up here. Can you tell me that, Henrik? The equipment for a hike like this?
Yeah, I think a typical tip would be not to have too much gear that you use for the first time when you're standing here before a 3-day hike. So the shoes, make sure that you hiked a bit in them, that you're comfortable with that, and that you know the backpack and how to pitch the tent and so on, so that there are no big surprises. And apart from that, I think at this time should be a lot of excitement and a fresh body ready for the hike.
Yes, definitely, I agree. So Alfred, now we are at the very start of Fjällräven Classic Germany. And can you tell us a little bit about this very spot and the area overall?
Yes, for sure. We invite you in the area of the Allgäu. It's close to the borderline to Austria and Switzerland. And when Marco is moving and starting the trek, right in front on the right side, you can see the lake Alpsee. This is our starting place, and 3 days later, it's our finish line. Our area is on sea level between 700 meters above sea, and our trek is going up to 2,430 meters up to sea. So the first day is really hard, but we will see how we get it together.
Yes, this is a beautiful area, and Immenstadt is the small town where you actually start, and it's a beautiful small town. So if you have a day extra, I would definitely recommend you to go there a little bit before the hike if you have possibility to do that. It's a fantastic area to walk around in,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
you have a
Yeah.
lot of beautiful nature there.
Mhm.
Yeah. So the hike about to start, it starts a little bit at sea level, but as you see on the film, we have made some cuts, and now it starts to go uphill. As you said, Alfred, you start on 730 meters, and this first day that we're concentrating on today, up to which altitude is the highest of the first day?
The highest point on the first day is even the highest point on the whole 3 days, and we hit the highest point at 1,430 meters. And the difficult is that we have to make an uphill hike from more than 1,000 meters in the first day, and you can see it on the red line on the bottom of this video. It's in between the first 7 kilometers. We have to hike all this uphill.
Yeah, it's a tough but a very beautiful start, we could say. Definitely. Yeah, there you see the view. It's beautiful. Yeah.
You can see the lake Alpsee where we started, and the first few kilometers are really strong. So it's very necessary to start slowly. It's not a Olympic game. It's to enjoy the day, and be prepared and have enough water. It's difficult, but you will enjoy it for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, you're not in a hurry. You have a long day in front of you that you can just enjoy. And actually, we have a question that just popped in here. So this first question we haven't answered. We have answered already on which altitude Fjällräven Classic Germany is. But there is another one here. Is there anything special I need to think of regarding hiking on higher altitudes? First of all, I can say that up to 2,000 meters is not really counted as higher altitudes. But besides that, what would you say, Henrik, when you go a lot uphill and a little bit higher? What would you think of when you do a hike like that?
Yeah, it's obviously when it's hilly and there's a lot of uphill, you will probably have a high pulse and a high activity level. So you need to drink a bit more, and also the dry air if you're higher up can cause some dehydration if you're not proactively drinking. But preparing for a hike like this, I think also consider the kind of garments and gear that you have, that they are comfortable when you are not only walking in flat terrain, but also a little bit up and down. And so I think in preparation, that's good to think about. And during the hike, when the terrain is a little bit different, up and down, like Alfred said before, be observative and work with the equipment and the garments, and take off the shirt or a jacket if you get too warm, and don't be afraid to adapt to be in a comfortable level.
Yeah, that's actually a very good advice that you gave us there, Henrik, because I work as an outdoor guide also, besides my Fjällräven Classic work. And I see very much people, especially beginners, that they put on the backpack and they think that it's supposed to be like that exactly the whole trail. But they might be walking for 2 or 3 days. But it's good to, loosen it a little bit, tighten it a little bit, make it tighter to the back if you go uphill, maybe put a little bit backwards if you go downhill, fix the waist belt a little bit to adjust so that you don't get
Definitely.
sore. Yeah, that's to work with the gear. And now we see Marco, he is actually standing here by a creek, and that suits very well because a question just popped in from Jaron, who is actually our Fjällräven Classic official Facebook group monitor. That was a long word. So Jaron asked, are there streams or other sources nearby regarding water, and I presume water filters are needed when using streams or anything. Can you tell us a little bit about the water supplies, Alfred, along the road?
Yeah, for sure. You saw right now. You saw a little creek right now again, but we are in a high educated area, and we have during the summertime, even when the classic is running, cows on the meadows, and it's not good to drink the water right directly out of the creeks or these small waterfalls. So what Marco is doing right now, he is preparing to have fresh water with his special filter system. So I think it's necessary for you to bring some. When we have some hot days, you will need a lot of water to get it.
Yeah, that's one of the special things with the altitude and when it's warm, to drink a lot more than you might think that you need is good to have, and never walk dry. So if you have a creek, use your water filter, fill it up. But also, as I remember it, after this creek, there was not many creeks to pass. So I remember we filled up here too. There were not, because we're on a quite high altitude. There's like a ridge that you hike on the first day. And so since we're so high up, not many creeks are coming down. So I remember we had to be a bit careful and not empty the bottles totally.
That's correct, Sophie. You all should be prepared to have enough water on your backpack because we are on the top line of the mountains, and there's several creeks we have, but it's not enough every few kilometers. Get your water and be sure to have enough on your backpack.
Yeah. So how much would you say recommendable minimum to bring when you start the hike? And what do you say, Henrik? Is 1 liter okay? Would that be enough?
No, I mean, it's good with 1 liter, but you will probably consume it quite fast. So a bit more for sure. And but it depends if you know the terrain and you know where you can fill up. Of course, it's different. But when you're new to an area, better pack a bit more.
Yeah, and another good thing is to use the map, because in all Fjällräven Classic events you get some kind of map, and you also get your hiking passport where you can find some information regarding things like this. So if you learn how to read the map, then it's so much easier to see where you are when you have the next water source, for example, or if you pass a hut or something. So we have another question here to Henrik. How should I think when I choose trekking pants in the summer? Is it better with shorts or long pants?
Yeah, I mean, a good question. And obviously, when we look at the pictures, you're walking here, sunny day, it looks quite warm and comfortable. And I would like to hike here in shorts. I think what's good to remember for this kind of hike, or anytime you're out a few days, be prepared for shifting weather, and the forecasts are never 100% accurate, and in the evening time it gets chillier. So don't only pack shorts, for sure. Make sure that you have pants that you that take some wind and that you can stay warm in. So either both, or I would recommend also having pants with some ventilation and zip-off pants that you can actually transform into shorts is a really smart solution. Then you can you can zip them off and still have them on your legs, kind of as gaiters if you're walking through grass, or to stay a bit more protected. So
then you don't have to carry two pair of trousers. You have one pair that in the same pair too. It's a good
Exactly.
idea. Yeah, of course. So, how about the backpack? The weight of the backpack? How heavy is reasonable to use? I mean, Fjällräven Classic Germany is a 3-day hike where you bring your tent, you bring your stove, you bring water, you bring your clothing that you might need, and so on, first aid kit and everything. What's reasonable to carry?
Yeah, it depends on a few things, but if you want to trek lightweight, you can get closer to 10 kilos. But I would say that around 15 or a little bit less or a bit more is more typical. If you are a few people, then you can share the tent, for example, split up, and someone carries the poles and someone the fly sheet and so on. You can share the weight also with the stove and cooking equipment. So it's it differs, and it's also, of course, personal preferences. If you want to be prioritizing being light on your feet and having comfort that way, or if you want to ensure that you have comfort in terms of extra nice food or extra garments and so on. So, but I'd say if this is the first hike, make sure that you don't overpack and end up with a 20-liter or 20-kilo backpack, because that's quite heavy with some time.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, thank you, Henrik. We will come back to the backpacks in a second. Alfred, can you tell us what we just passed? There was some kind of house there.
Yeah, that was the first uphill, and Marco hit right now. He hit the point 7.2 kilometers, and we had a hut there. You can get there also because you ask for the water out of a spring line. You can have fresh water at this point. And Marco, he's resting right now, and he's tightened his shoes. I don't know exactly what he's doing. And this part, Marco is resting right now, is the first view to our national area called Nagelflughette. And it's a nice spot to see how different our landscape is. On the right side, we have the deeper side of the Allgäu, and on the left side we have the higher mountains. They go up to 2,500 meters up sea level. So I can say it again, enjoy the time and be patient and have enough water, and that makes this whole day a perfect day. Because you have to remember the first day 21 kilometers hiking.
Yes, and that's quite far, and it's a lot of up and downhill. Yeah. So we were talking a little bit about the backpacks. I know we have a short film about how to pack your backpack and basically what to bring. I think we can show it right now. It's just a few minutes long, and then we'll go back to the Fjällräven Classic movie after that.
Okay, in my pack I have two pockets on my hip belt, and in one pocket here I have my snacks for the day. I have some beef snacks, I have some peanuts, and I have some dried mango. That's my personal favorite. And on the other side here I have my foldable cup. Very convenient if you're gonna get served coffee. You don't want to be naked, right? Also easy access. On my shoulder strap I have hung my water bottle. Staying hydrated is of course super relevant. Okay, then we have also these compressible pockets on the side here. They are big enough to fit the water bottle if I would want to have the water bottle there. But here I have some other small items that I want to have easy access. Here's actually my trash bag. So I can both pick up litter that I find on the trail and also host everything that I produce myself. And then I have a water bag. In this side pocket here I stash my rain cover for the backpack. So that's of course relevant to bring if you're out on a multi-day trip, because you don't want the whole backpack to get soaking wet if you get caught in a prolonged rain. On the side I have attached a trekking pole. This one is possible to make longer, of course. Okay, also easy access in the top pocket here. I have my toilet paper, and here is also my map and my compass. Even though I have a phone with a map and GPS and everything, the physical map is hard to replace if you get caught with no battery and need to navigate with traditional skills. Now we can have a look at the front. This big pocket hosts what I need for a little bit longer break maybe. So here I have a water filter, so if I need to get fresh water that I want to filter. I have my meal, the lunch for the day, and my cooker. Here's also the fire steels if I need that for the cooker. And I managed to stash away something to sit on, which could be nice. All right. At the top here I have a headlamp, and I also have access to a gas canister extra if I need that during the hike. My first aid kit, also easy access if I need that. At the top here also in this pack bag is my waterproof rain gear. And this pack bag contains my spare food for the rest of the trip. Here are my base camp shoes. At the outer side here is my insulation jacket. And now pretty much at the center of the back, a bit up, I have managed to put in the tent. This is a 3-person tent, so if you're out 2-person it's quite spacious, and if you're on your own it's really luxurious, I'd say. So this is a 3-person tent, but I put it in here just to show that it actually fits for myself to carry everything in this pack. And I normally take out the poles for the tent and keep them separately. It makes packing the tent much easier. Yes, and at the bottom of the backpack I have a watertight bag. And in here I have put everything that I really want to keep dry. And the essential things here are of course the sleeping bag, the sleeping mat, and my spare clothes that I have in a separate pack bag in here. And this is everything that I have in my bag.
Yes. Okay, so that was some advice from my colleague Carl about what to bring for a 3-day hike like this. And Henrik, how big was that backpack that he was using?
That was the cab backpack, which we have in 52 and 72 liter, and I think for most people the smaller size there, the 52, would be a great one for this hike.
Yeah, so yeah, somewhere between 50 and 65. You should definitely not need bigger than this for a hike like this for 3 days. To use the Slido tool and send in some questions to us, because we're keen to answer them and would love to help you out regarding anything about Fjällräven Classic, gear, or the Allgäu area. So we have one question here.
Hello.
Alfred, what should we pack especially for the Classic Germany? Is there anything different for this classic than the other classics? Alfred?
No, I don't think so. You will pack your gears and your special needs you use everywhere. What I prefer, even on this track, using my walking poles, because you will see it later. We have some special places where a lot of roots are on the bottom, and so you will get more. You can walk more comfortable. Maybe also on the downhill on the last few kilometers we have right in front of the campsite. So you will see right now Marco is hitting the last creek, last water for this day, and he needs also a lot of water. So the question was also, I see, how many water you should bring with you. I think you on this, especially on the first day, you need more than 1 liter. Better 1.5, maybe. Depends on how big is your backpack. Maybe 2 liters.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good advice, and especially if it's warm like this. Yeah, good. So we have another question that came in here for all of you that's been participating in the Fjällräven Classic, which I hope some of you have done. You know that we always give out a trash bag. And the trash bag, for all of you that are new to Fjällräven Classic, is a packable bag that we give out because we want everybody to pick up the trash that they see on the trail and also to bring their own trash back to the campsite. So we have a zero tolerance of trash on our hikes, and the trash bag is very important for that purpose. And at all the Fjällräven Classics all over the world, it's included, so you will get one. And the thing that we hope that we want you to do is that we want you to bring it back to the campsite and back home afterwards and empty it in the different containers, sorting it, and then wash it and reuse it and reuse it and reuse it. Bring it out for every hike you do with your family, with your friends, on your own, and use it to pick up trash and to bring your own trash back. And if we all do that, it would be so much nicer outside along the trails. That's why we do this. And actually, it has started a small trend in Sweden. So one outdoor store chain, they started to give out trash bags in their stores. So anyone can go in there and pick up a trash bag actually to bring on their hikes to reuse, which I find is a great idea. And I know that there is a Deutsche Alpenverein that have done something similar on their, now you see Alfred is showing up the trash bag. Good. That's
It's
very
always,
simple.
this trash bag is always by my side.
Perfect. Yeah, it should be. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
It's a great
Yeah.
idea.
You have to know the track is going through the natural park of Nagelfluhkette, and the Fjällräven is getting special permits to use this track and to stay on the campsite. And so we have to clean. Clean the track and leave no trash. It's necessary to have fun with all these the governments.
Yeah. So Henrik, we have another question for you here. How often should I brake on the classic Germany trail? I mean, that maybe is a question that we could cover like all different trails, but how often should I take a break when I'm out hiking? Do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think a common suggestion is that you take 5 minutes every hour. Take off your shoes and let the socks dry a little bit, maybe change socks, lift your feet high. That's a common advice, but I also think make sure that you listen to your body, take a break a bit earlier if you need that, change settings on the backpack, but also if you're up on a creek or somewhere where it's fantastic, take a break there. And unless you want to do the trek in a certain time, I think follow nature and what you experience out there.
Yeah,
but having some kind of a guide, I think is good, and it's good not to forget to break for too long, because that you may regret.
Yeah. So here we see Marco is climbing over some trees. I think they're cut down by now because this was last year because it's an official trail. But I mean, this is what happens in nature areas where wind and weather have its own time. So that's just natural. It's part of the game. And
Yeah,
as you see now, he walks on this ridge. You see, it's steep on the both sides down here.
yeah. Now Marco hit the very high point of the first day, and he's on the top, and he can have great views to the left side and great views to the right side. And what I want to say also is we have something special on the Fjällräven Classic in Germany. We have 2 checkpoints on the first day that makes you sure to be served by us, by the volunteers, with water, with some fruit, or what else we can serve to you, give you help if you need something. It's very special because it's hard to do this first day, and Marco is doing right exactly what we were talking about right now. He making breaks. He enjoy the great views, and he's resting, and he's changing his socks and take the shoes off. That's how it works.
Yeah, so we have another question that popped in here that suit very well right now. Is it always so sunny in Germany at this time of year? I mean, this is actually the weekend that we were supposed to do this event these days. So is it common that it's very warm and sunny in beginning of June?
Yeah, that's this hardest question I was afraid for because I'm not the weather forecast. What we know is at the beginning of June we can have everything. Right now we have thunderstorm out there. So normally today we had the first day on the campsite Hochgrad, and we will have thunderstorm right now. So what we have is when you come to our area during this time, you must be prepared with everything. Probably we can get some snow. I've been on this trail last week, and I had some snow on the north side of these hills. And what we have also is maybe we can have it really, really warm or up to hot, 25, 28 degrees Celsius. But in the evening and in the night, we can have lower temperatures. Maybe we have a low temperature under 0 degrees Celsius. That makes it difficult.
Yeah, so it's like in all mountain areas, it's can differ very much. Daytime it can be very warm, and nighttime it can be quite cold. So that's also a good thing to think about when you pack your gear. Is that like don't look at the weather forecast and see that, oh, it's going to be 25 degrees. I don't need the down jacket. Bring the down jacket because in the evening you've been hiking, you've been sweating, you're maybe a bit tired, and the temperature is quite cold. Then you will be cold if you don't bring your down jacket or your warmer, some kind of a mid layer or warm layer. You will definitely need that. Yeah. That's a good advice. We tend to forget that sometimes. Yeah.
Sophie, you remember when we made the test hiking, we had rain through all the day on the first trek. Yeah.
Yeah.
And on the next day, tomorrow, we had bright sunny days and warm weather. Remember it?
Yeah. It's just over the night it really changed. At this very spot, it was a very, very nice, but it was super foggy when I was there, so I didn't see this fantastic view like we see it now. Okay. So here we have a question that came in. This is Neil from Wales. I missed the end of the answer regarding pack weight. Was it about 15 kilo max recommended? I'm hoping to do a few classics in 2022. Best wishes to all. So what was the maximum weight? Henrik, can you do it again?
Yeah, I mean, I think that again, try the equipment, see what's comfortable. I'd say that it differs a lot on experience and body type and so on. So I don't think there is a right or wrong. You can pack 20 kilos and have a fantastic experience. But if you're new, I would try to do max 15 kilo. And if you do a few hikes, I actually would recommend both to try to do lightweight, a bit agile hiking and pack a bit smaller. But if you're up to it and you have a strong body, also pack a bit more, go out longer, and experience not only maybe dry food, but bring equipment to be able to cook not only boil water and use freeze-dried food. Depending on where you are and knowledge, maybe you can pick mushrooms and fry them in a pan. Or, there are things that you can do when you've done hikes and treks for some times.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're not so used to trekking, then I would say that 15 kilos is not super easy to stick to, because I mean, then you might have a quite heavy sleeping bag and the stove. I mean, Carl, when he showed how to pack the backpack, he had a super small gas stove. I mean, sometimes the stoves are very big, so it can be. I mean, 15 kilos is very good, and down to 10 is even better. If you can do that, it makes the hike so much easier, but it can be a bit quite tough to manage to get all your stuff below that weight.
Yeah.
But I mean, one thing that you can think of is like you can skip one underlayer if you use wool instead of synthetics, for example. Then you don't have to carry lots of shirts to change with. You can have one that you're wearing when you hike and one you put on dry and maybe sleep in. And then so you just have to have two, and then a mid layer and some kind of rain gear and a down jacket, and that's it on the upper body. You don't bring anything else. Then you can have like a hat or two, cap, but so you can really work with your gear a lot like that. You don't have to have. I mean, if, as Henrik said before, if you have one pair of trousers that you can zip off, then you don't need anything else besides a rain gear, and maybe if it's
and
supposed to be very cold.
if you have boots and a backpack that sits really well and that you can adjust, it could very well be that 17 kilos feels less than 13, 14 kilos if you have a backpack or shoes that you're not as comfortable in. So there's a lot of aspects, but obviously if it's the first time you enter a 3-day hike like this, make sure that you make some longer treks in the weeks or months before that, and pack a backpack that you carry some weight in, so you get used to that.
Yeah, and Neil here, he said he's hoping to do a few classics in 2022, which I really get happy to hear. And we have another question here that asking if there are still tickets for Classic Sweden this year. And yes, as far as I know, there are tickets for Fjällräven Classic Sweden, starting days 13th to 15th of August 2021. So the registration is still open, and there are tickets to purchase if you go to the Fjällräven Classic Sweden site. So Alfred, now we have started to go downhill to the campsite.
Yeah, Marco, he hit a few pictures before. He hit a very special place. It's difficult. You have to climb a little bit, but don't be afraid. We will give you a helping hand. We will, on this position, we will help you if you need it with one or two volunteers to pass this place. And now the last part of the first Fjällräven class in Germany is beginning, and it goes downhill. The downhill is is difficult for sure. Marco, he's walking on a very bright day, and the soil is dry. It's not wet. It's not difficult to walk, but you should be prepared. You should have good shoes when you go downhill.
Yeah.
You see it right now. He's crossing the last hut on the left side. This view is going all the way to the Switzerland. What Marco shows right now, and then he rests.
That's perfect. Then, because I know that very soon he will reach the campsite, and maybe we should take a few minutes and watch at the. We have a small how to pitch a tent movie too, and after that, Henrik can give us some advice about the tent, how to choose a tent, what to think about that. So we can watch the tent movie for a few minutes, and we'll get back to you in about 4 minutes.
Of course, it's super important to make sure that the equipment is complete when you leave your home before your outing. I normally put the tent pegs in the leg pocket of my trousers. That way I know where I have them, and I can easily access the pegs when I need them during the tent pitch. When I find the two corners that I have on top in the bag, I want to align the tent with the wind so that it is in the direction of the wind. If the wind would have been strong now, I would have secured the tent like this with my knee, and then with the two pegs in the corner before taking out the tent of the bag. And the bag I can tuck down in my backpack so that it won't blow away either. All Fjällräven tents are made in a Nordic pitch construction. This means that the inner tent and the outer tent are combined together into one unit. When you pitch them, you get them both pitched at the same time. The big advantage of this is that you will not have to pitch the inner tent first in the rain and then put on the fly sheet on top of it. So everything is in one motion, and it makes the pitch easier. So when mounting the poles, you can be a little bit careful so that you don't squeeze the rubber cord inside, and just handle it with a little bit of care. And then simply find the color matched sleeve for the tent pole and feed it in all the way to the bottom into the cup. And here you want to tighten this stretcher as well. Make sure that the pole fits down to the bottom of the sleeve, otherwise you will easily break the tent fabric when stretching the tent. And now it's super easy to erect the tent. I also open up these tent peg holders so that you can adjust it later on. When you have it standing like this, it's time to secure the guy lines. It's always good to do that because the outer fabric of the tent is made from a nylon weave, and the properties of this material is that when it gets moisture, it will expand a little bit, and then it's always good to be able to stretch and adjust. Also, with stretched guy lines, the fabric will not flap as much in the wind, and that will expand the life of the whole tent. So by being able to stretch the guidelines and secure the tent properly, you will make sure that it is functional and in good shape for a long time. For myself personally, I always leave the guidelines untied when I pack the tent, because okay, the downside is that they might get a little bit stuffed and you find them on the wrong spot, but normally it's easier than to make the knot nice and tidy when taking it down. Normally you just don't do that, or I don't. I'm too lazy for that. I like to find the tent with this one extended also, so that I know that I can stretch them later. There are probably just as many ways to pitch a tent than there are people sleeping in tents. The best way to find out your way is, of course, to go out and practice. One thing that I've learned is that if I extend this to begin with, I can find a good spot for the peg. If I find a rock here, I can move it in a little bit like that, and then I can tighten the guy line. So the guy lines at the end of the tent, I try to angle like 45 degrees to the tent body, and then the guy line in the middle, I take the 90 degree out from the tent. This is to give me maximum stability and protection from wind. And now I can a little bit secure the shape of the tent with these peg straps. If it's a really windy day, of course you can also secure the poles with these loops here, but that is for severe bad weather use, I would say.
Okay, great. So that was some advice about how to pitch a tent. And now Marco is just having, well, 200-300 meters left to the campsite. And right at the film, you'll see that it's all empty, because when he did it, it was an ordinary day. But it's a very beautiful valley down there. And Henrik, we have a question here. What type of sleeping bag and mattress would you advise? Looking at comfort, weight, and water resistance. What would you say? We can start with the sleeping bag.
Yes, sleeping bag. There is a standard in how to measure comfort temperatures in that. So when you buy a sleeping bag, you'll be able to look at the comfort level. I think that if you're new as well, better pack a little bit warmer, and you can open up and ventilate. And as we mentioned before, even though it's a sunny day like this, when it gets cold down to almost freezing, you really appreciate the comfort. Having said that, you can also adapt, and if you have a little bit thinner sleeping bag, like a summer sleeping bag, you can put your insulation jacket, for example, over parts of the sleeping bag. When you're sleeping, you can actually fill a water bottle, if you have that for sure watertight, and put that in a sock or some insulation, and put that in the sleeping bag as well. You'll gain warmth as well. So you can work with that if with some experience. But for new hikers, better be safe than sorry in terms of warmth. And for the sleep mattress, you saw that Carl had this foam kind of sleep mattress. and that I think is a good advice. That's really reliable, lightweight, no fuss in inflating and so on, and you will have a quite good comfort. If you're looking for even better comfort, have that underneath, and then have an inflatable one on top of that. But remember that if you only carry an inflatable one, if you get a hole in it, either you need to be able to fix it, or it will be a flat night, and that creates cold as well.
Yeah, of course. So a mattress, depending a little bit on how much comfort you want, inflatable one, but add another one too if you want to be 100% sure not to be completely flat. Yeah. Good. And I find that sleeping bag always a bit hard also to choose, because it's a price difference between synthetics and down, and also comfort difference and warm difference. And that, I mean, you just have to find your way. And some people don't like synthetics, some people don't like down. So what would you say about that?
Yeah, there is a price difference. There is if you're looking for low weight and comparing the warmth to the packability and lightness, it's hard to beat down. So down sleeping bags are great in that sense. And pack it in a waterproof backpack like Carl did, so that the down doesn't get damp.
Yeah.
But it's not, the synthetic bags are great as well. So I think, preferences and maybe the wallet can decide that.
Yeah. Okay, so I know we have a photo of the first night camp. Alfred, do you want to say anything about the night camp, night 1? And there you see a special tent, which is not pitched as Carl showed it. You see, there it has collected a lot of moist, and they have forgot to tighten the guidelines, and that's then it will be a lot of moist inside too, because the ventilation doesn't work as well. So if you look at this tent, use this as a good example of how it not should look. That's why we picked this photo, to show you that we want to have it tight and straight. Otherwise, it will be less comfort inside. Alfred, you want to tell anything about Valley?
Henrik, you want to say
Yeah,
something?
I was just thinking that if you, like Carl, pitch the tent and it's sunny and dry, and you pitch it really tight, and you have moisture in the nighttime, actually Carl's tent could look like this after some hours in getting a bit wet. So don't get scared because of that, but just tighten the lines, so the tent will actually move a little bit with the humidity. Yeah,
it's a little bit like the backpack. Don't just put it there and leave it. Work with the gear all the time. Adjust it, fix it, because at the same time it will get moist and a little bit loose in the night, the tent. But at the same time, in the morning, when the sun comes up and dry the fabric, it will be like ding, super tight. So then you might have to loosen the guidelines a little bit. So you just have to walk with nature there a little bit. Yes. Alfred, you want to say something about the night camp?
Yeah, for sure. You can see the picture of the first night camp on the valley where the Hochgrat mountain goes on the left side. It's the area of our second welcome town, Oberstaufen, and it's a really great valley. We have a river on the side, so if you're not shy, if you don't feel cold, you can jump into this small river and get some fresh water. We welcome you on this campsite. We can give you some dry food for the evening, and you can prepare your meal. But we are still inside of the natural park. We have a special permit to camp on this site, so we make sure that you don't light any fire because it's for sure it's dangerous and it's not allowed. So, but you will meet a lot of friends, and we will have fun during this evening. And sleep well until the next morning.
Yeah, for the next day. So we have about 3-4 minutes left. We haven't really set the final time, so if we have a lot of questions, we might continue a little bit. But there is one question here that I really would like to discuss, and it's regarding tunnel tents and dome tents. This is a very common question. So Henrik, what are the major differences?
Yeah, key difference is that a tunnel tent looks like a tunnel, the one that Carl pitched. That is an efficient construction. You get a lot of space with low weight, but you need to be able to pitch it well in the ground because it's not standing by itself. A dome tent typically stands well by itself. So if you are in rocky or terrain where it's hard to add sticks in the ground, that's to be preferred. And then there are, that's the main difference.
Yeah, and I know that at least we Scandinavians, we really like the tunnel tents
Yeah.
because of the space in the at the sides outside the inner tent. We have like compartments with some extra space where you can cook in wintertime, and you can put your shoes and you can stash your backpack and everything like that, which is very comfortable, of course.
It is.
Yeah. We have another short question regarding socks, if you should change socks or leave them on. A good advice is definitely to change the socks once or twice during a day, because if you can feel your feet, keep them dry, you will have less blisters and less problems with your feet. So you saw Marco in the film, he took his shoes off and just to get some fresh air and dry up his socks while he was cooking. Perfect. If we pass a creek, we very often put the feet into the cold water because they swell in the shoes. They will shrink a little bit if you put some cold water on them. So do that. Don't be afraid to change your socks. And then we have another one here. Can you compress or pack a tent or a tarp? Would the material be damaged from too much compression?
I think that's a common question, and the answer is that it does not. The tents are made in such high quality materials that you can pack them and unpack them. And sometimes the thought comes up: if you pack them and it's always creaks at the same place, will that be damaged? But in reality, we'll never be able to do that. And so you can squeeze them in. You can fold it as well. There is not really a right or wrong. It's more about the way that you like to.
So a good idea is to do like Carl did: take out the poles and the pegs, and then just squeeze it into the backpack, and then put the poles and the pegs separately in the backpack. So because then you can compress it more. Okay. Does Fjällräven offer any freestanding tents?
Yeah, the dome models are quite freestanding. Then oftentimes you also bring the apps out a bit. So when you want to use the full apps, actually you pitch the apps as well. But we have totally freestanding tents. Yes.
Okay, good. And another question here: do Fjällräven tents come with a ground sheet?
Our tents come with a polyamide bottom fabric, which is really water resistant or waterproof and also durable. So in most cases it's not needed, but we also sell as an accessory a cover that you can actually use under the tent for if you know that it's really sharp terrain or for some added protection. But in general, that's not needed.
No, I mean, that's also, we were talking about that a little bit when we were chatting yesterday, that there are different tents come in different cultures, kind of, or in different cultures we use different tents. So if you go to North America, for example, they use much more dome tents than what we do in Scandinavia. Normally we use more tunnel tents, and if you go to Asia, where it's much more moist on the ground, they always use a ground sheet. But in Scandinavia we don't use ground sheets, it's very rare. but our tents instead have a waterproof bottom that you just told us. So it's a little bit different, and you get used to different ways of doing it. But the good thing is that when you come to a place, watch how they're doing, because normally there's some kind of reason that they're doing as they're doing. Their customs are born out of some kind of need, which I learned when I was at Fjällräven Classic Korea. And also Hong Kong, I learned that the ground cheese is great, because I've always thought that the ground cheese is just too much weight to carry, but there I was really missing a ground sheet. So we added one, and that was fantastic, because it was a bit sandy ground, and we didn't want to bring the sand in all the time, and moist. So it was perfect with the ground sheet. So a good thing is to test and to learn and see where you are. Okay, guys, we have several questions coming in, but we will actually finish today's webinar and digital show regarding Fjällräven Classic Germany. We have spent an hour inspiring you, hopefully, and ourselves. I really want to go out, at least, do
Me
some
too.
more hikings. And tomorrow, if you haven't signed up for tomorrow, Alfred will join, and also Carl, that was on the movies, he will join, and Christian Wittig from Hanwag. And the theme of tomorrow is trekking shoes and feet, and of course, day 2 during Fjällräven Classic Germany. And I hope to see all of you on Saturday, because that's the next time I'm joining, Saturday at 10. And if I don't see you then, I hope that I will see you at Fjällräven Classic in Sweden in August. Thank you so much for your cheerings. Super nice to have you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye, everyone. See you tomorrow morning. Tomorrow evening.